on the test tomorrow. All right, so make sure you're comfortable with area under a curve. We'll also need to be able to write definite integrals. Given a graph. So write definite integrals given a graph. And then use technology to calculate that interval. All right. So can you write the definite interval, and then can I plug that into my calculator and actually find the area? All right, find the numerical value for that definite integral. Okay.
Interval or integral?
Integral. I keep saying interval, but it's integral. Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yep. I apologize for my horrible vocabulary. Okay.
Don't worry about it. You're good.
We do need to know how to estimate the area. Under a curve. And that's just like what we did on the grade assignment. We could probably expect a problem like that, but maybe not as open-ended. Like the grade assignment problem just said use any method. I might just ask you to use a specific method for it. Okay. And when you estimate the area under a curve, we talked about the left-hand rectangles, which is basically you draw all the rectangles from the left side. We talked about right-hand rectangles, which is you draw all the rectangles from the right side. We did that in investigation number 1, I believe, in the chapter. And then we talked about using the trapezoid method, which was like investigation number 2. So using trapezoids instead. So left-hand rectangles, right-hand rectangles, trapezoids. Okay, and remember, you have access to your notes, so you don't have to have these things memorized. You just need to know how to apply them. Okay, that's really the key. All right. So those are some things we've talked about so far. Let's see. And then indefinite integrals. We need to be able to let's see. I'm using the word calculate by hand here, but What I really mean is, instead of calculate by hand on indefinite integrals, I just mean like you need to be able to find the integral by hand. So
Does that mean like the power rule?
yes, using the power rule. Thank you. Yes. So that's the best way to say it. Yeah, but you need to be able to do that by hand. So show me your work for it, basically. Oops. So find by hand using the power rule. Okay. And remember, don't forget to do the plus C. I always forget about plus C when I'm doing those ones. That's one way to get it marked incorrect. And then the last one, find the equation of a curve. And that's the exact same thing as indefinite integrals, except, oh, the function goes through the point 7 comma 4. And now you need to plug that in and solve for C. That's what the last part is. So we'll just say solve for C. Okay, those are the types of things we could expect. I already wrote your test. It's 8 total problems. I'll give you the whole class period tomorrow, so it shouldn't take you the whole class period for 8 problems, but I'll give you enough time to make sure you get through it. One thing that's not going to be on the test tomorrow is using your calculator to find a limit. So let me go ahead and specify that. So not on test. If I give you something like 1 comma a and like x squared plus 3x plus 7 dx equals 52. Solve for a. This type of problem will not be on the test tomorrow. There were enough of you guys that were having problems not being able to put that into your calculator, and we don't have a method for calculating that by hand, so I'm just not going to put it on the test. So something you will not need to worry about there if you were having those issues putting that into your calculator. Okay, if you're planning on taking the IB exam, you're still going to need to figure out a solution to making sure you have a calculator that allows you to solve for that type of problem. But if you're not planning on taking the IB exam, I'm just going to skip this one on the test since you don't have a calculator that's able to do it. I don't really want to penalize students for having a calculator that won't do that for them. Okay, so that will not be on the test tomorrow, but everything else that we talked about will be on the test. So finding the area under a curve, using those area formulas to do it. Given a graph, can we write a definite integral, and then can we use technology to calculate the area? And then can we estimate the area under a curve using either the left-hand triangles method, the right-hand triangles method, or rectangles method, or the trapezoid method? And then indefinite integrals, find them by hand using the power rule, and then solve for C if we're asked. That's the last part. Okay. So those are the types of things to expect on the test tomorrow. But definitely don't worry about a problem where I give you a lower limit but not the upper limit, or I don't give you the lower limit and I'm asking you to solve for that limit, just because a lot of people don't have that on their calculators. So I'm just going to not test on it. So I don't want to punish anybody for not having that on their calculator. Okay, hopefully that's clear what the expectations are for our test tomorrow. Your assignment today, really good practice for what to expect. So write down a definite integral and then find the area of the shaded regions. If it's a function like problem A here, I would recommend finding that area by hand, like maybe creating a rectangle and a triangle and practicing that. Also, I want to say problem number 1 in the review would be really good practice as well, finding the area of the shaded regions. So part A, I would recommend doing that with the rectangle, or not a rectangle method, but doing that one with the area formulas, finding the area. And then part B would be an example of number 2, where you're just going to want to plug that into your calculator and find the definite integral that way.
On the assignment given that it's problem number 2 and 1 isn't shown.
Yeah, I said I said problem number 1 is also good practice. Yes, so sorry, we should do problem number 2 there. I changed my mind at the last minute. So review is problem number 2, 3A through C, 4A, B, and E, 9, 13, 14, 19, 20. But problem number 1 is also very good practice if you're just wanting to practice calculating area under a curve by hand. Okay, and there's obviously plenty of good practice in the chapter review section of the textbook. All right, but right now, before I let you guys go today, are there any questions on what I talked about? Are there any types of problems you would like to see worked out? We can definitely look at a problem together and work it out. Okay. Oh, a good question. So second opportunity for chapter 12. You guys voted. It was kind of close. It was like 60% to 40%, but 60% voted that they would prefer not to do chapter 12 tomorrow. So it's just chapter 13 today, and on the test tomorrow. And we'll do chapter 12 next week. We'll find some time next week to do chapter 12. Probably on Wednesday next week we'll do chapter 12 test. And then we'll move on. And that'll be our final opportunity, our second opportunity for chapter 12. For chapter 13, there's not going to be another opportunity. I did the graded assignment for 1, and I'm going to do the test for 1. So that'll get us 3 scores for chapter 13, the homework score, the graded assignment, and the test. Those will be your 3 scores for chapter 13. The test that I give next week for chapter 12 will be your 3rd score for chapter 12. And then we're going to move on to chapter 4, coordinate geometry, and that'll be our last major chapter of the book. We might go through a couple small lessons on other chapters, but we'll see how much time we have left. Okay, so there will not be a second opportunity for chapter 12 tomorrow.